Guys, we've got another NBA playoff game tonight between the Heat and the Raptors in Miami. And if you've come here looking for my delightful insight on that game, you have come to the wrong place because you doubted me. Because when I said a week ago that I was through with that series after losing 3 straight games because I couldn't simply get my finger on the pulse of that team, and that team being the Raptors, a team that you can't figure out what they're going to do quarter to quarter, let alone game to game, well, you shouldn't have doubted me because I haven't watched the rest of the series. I don't care that they're playing tonight. Hey, you want the winner on the game? Check out Jeff Benton. He's going for another 100-dime winner tonight, another max wager play. It's another featured over half price off release. And it's just as strong as his 100-dime winner last night when he cashed in with Oklahoma City. Bigger than his 75-dime winner on Portland in game number 5 against Golden State. He's got the inside edge on that game. I have no clue. Now, listen, I'm going to get to the NBA tonight and give you a playoff recap of how everything is broken out in terms of point spread and over-under results. And I've got 2 more free baseball plays following last night's sweep when I gave you the Thunder and also gave you the St. Louis Cardinals getting the win at Anaheim against the Angels in a wild 12-10 affair. But listen, first, I want to talk about something else. And I'm being serious here for once. What I have done because of the Raptors and because I didn't really have much of a feeling for the Thunder Spurs series is I turned back to baseball, which still is my favorite and most profitable sport, period, hands down, forever. And 2 nights ago, I gave you my mismatch of the month, another top-rated 15-dime play on the Red Sox on the run line at home, and they beat up the Oakland A's 13-3, and they were at plus $1.10, laying the 1.5 runs. Well, last night I came back with my underdog game of the month. And again, I rode the Red Sox, and this time when I released the play yesterday morning at about 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, the Red Sox were plus $1.35, laying the 1.5 runs. But here's the thing that you always have to remember with run line plays. Why are we playing the run line in the first place? Because the money line price is too rich. My philosophy has always been, and I think it holds true 99.9% of the time, is you play the favorites early, play the underdogs late. That also applies to run line plays, guys. Look at that game with the Red Sox yesterday as an example. Within 3 hours of me going live, so now we're talking around 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern time, the Red Sox were up to plus $1.45. By noon Eastern time, they were up to about $1.50. Later in the day, at some books, they went up to $1.55. Again, there's always going to be an exception to the rule. But you play the favorites early, you play the underdogs late. Now, let's talk basketball. Let's talk about one of my favorite subjects, something which I have ignored, and my apologies in advance because I know you guys have come to expect it. I have not bashed LeBron James here of late. I know. It's hard for me to even believe, too. I don't know. I got so wrapped up into winning in baseball, winning in the playoffs, doing the video reports, I failed to mention my favorite person in the world, LeBron James. Now, listen, I don't know LeBron James. I don't give a damn about LeBron James anyway. But the fact is that is there a more narcissistic player in the NBA than LeBron James? I mean, this guy has such a need to be loved. My personal opinion. Okay, but bottom line is this. You saw in the past week, heard the various stories about they're thinking about doing another Space Jam movie, Space Jam 2. I never watched Space Jam 1. I forbade my son to watch Space Jam 1. And listen, he grew up. It did not affect his childhood, did not affect his teenage years, did not affect his intellectual development. I just didn't care. Hey, it's Michael Jordan, blah, 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 who cares? But anyway, you saw his name, LeBron's, attached to it, which is just another thing that just shows you his intense desire to be loved. He might be the most dominant player in the NBA. Steph Curry may give him a run for his money. But the fact is that this guy needs to be loved. Think back to the whole Jim Gray interview when he announced he was going to Miami. Think of how he had all the drama with going back to Cleveland. This guy needs to be loved. Can't keep his foot out of his mouth. Think about his comments, the backhanded swipe he kind of took, even though he's a 4-time MVP winner himself, at Steph Curry winning, wanting to redefine the award. Oh, great. Why didn't you just keep your mouth shut instead of coming off like sounding like sour grapes that you finished 3rd in the MVP balloting behind the Spurs Leonard as well? Hey, what I find, though, that is interesting is that Space Jam's original director said, don't do it. It was going to be doomed. And I'm paraphrasing it here, but it was going to be doomed because at the time that they did original movie, Michael Jordan was the biggest player in the world. And he was the biggest player in sports. That's the thing. He was more idolized. And the thing that you can say about LeBron, no matter how great he may be, He's never going to be like Mike. End of story. Thunder and Spurs. Series is over last night. I think it's time now. We've got to see the Spurs start to think about rebuilding, right? I mean, this is a team that got hammered on the boards. It showed with Adams and Kantner what they did, the Thunder in that series. Clearly, they didn't have any answers. It's a team that's got a 33-year-old point guard who is not the same guy he was a decade ago. Neither am I, come to think of it. They got Duncan on his way out. They got Ginobili on his way out. So what do they really have? They got an aging point guard. And you've got Leonard and Aldridge, two great pieces to build around. No ifs, ands, or buts. And you got Danny Green at shooting guard. Does this inspire a lot of confidence? I mean, you got some spare parts in Barbosa and David West, etc. But it's a team that definitely has to rebuild. And where are you going to go out and get that rebounder? A lot of talk about them going out and getting Kevin Durant. That's great. Where are you going to play him in the lineup? And who knows if Kevin Durant wants to leave Oklahoma City after their run. Thank goodness, though, we have one good playoff series left. I mean, Thunder Warriors, I don't know about you. Not only as a gambler, as a handicapper, but as a fan, I can't wait to see that. The Cavaliers and LeBron against the Raptors, the Heat, does that excite you? I didn't think so. Hey, in terms of how the playoffs have fallen so far, and I'll get to your baseball free picks in just a moment as I talk even faster, favorites are now 37-26-1 against the spread after the Spurs lost last night. Yes, the Spurs were actually 1 to 1.5 point favorite in that game. The favorites in round number 2, just one game over 500, 10-9-1. Most of their damage the Chalks did back in the first round. 37 double-digit blowouts, 33 of them by Chalks. The under, still strong, 38-25-1 overall in the postseason. However, in round number 2, the under is only 9-11. The favorites have actually, the over has been the play 2 times more than the under so far. Home teams 21-17 against the spread in the first round. Round number 2, pretty much the same, 11-9 overall. Now, with all that being said, let's get to your complimentary plays. Last night, I gave you the Thunder. I gave you the St. Louis Cardinals, a 2-0 sweep. Your first complimentary play tonight, I'll take a shot with the Washington Nationals at home, plus $1.40 on the run line. Washington going with Gio Gonzalez. Did he pitch well against the Cubs on Sunday? No, or Saturday it was. No, he did not at Wrigley Field. He got hit hard, gave up a season-high 5 runs on 7 hits and 5 2/3 innings pitched. Did manage to escape with the no decision, but it was his worst start of the season. And his first 5 starts were outstanding. 1.15 earned run average. Always has pitched well against Miami, it seems. 2.38 earned run average in his last 10 starts against the Marlins. 4-1 with a 1.64 ERA in his last 5 home starts since joining the Nationals back in 2012 against Florida/Miami. Now, the Nationals opened their current homestand by taking 2 out of 3 from the Tigers. Little dicey on this play because let me just play devil's advocate here and tell you that those 3 games were all decided by 1 single run because the Nationals offense has kind of been on a lull here of late. Marlins, meanwhile, coming off a 6-3 homestand. They have won 7 of their last 8 on the road, but this is really all about going with Gio Gonzalez and going against Tom Kohler, who was going for the Marlins. In 3 road starts, his earned run average is 7.9 this season. In 13 2/3 innings, he's given up 19 hits and 13 runs. Even more disconcerting, he's walked 10 batters in those 13 innings. And overall, in 6 starts this year, doesn't matter where he's pitching, he hasn't pitched well. 5.83 earned run average, allowing 47 base runners and 29 1/3 innings. So I figure you take a shot with the Nationals, take them on the run line at home in this one. Your next complimentary play, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Orioles, who yesterday, they were down 5-0 against Detroit playing at home, and then they roared back with 7 unanswered runs to win the damn game 7-5. Well, today they're going with Chris Tillman, and Tillman is a guy who sometimes you look at his numbers and you go, how does this guy win? Because they're not great numbers. He's also a guy that always seems to benefit from great offensive support. So I'm going to go with Tillman here tonight because the Orioles have won 6 of his 7 starts so far this season. They've won every single one of his 5 home starts, and he has pitched well against the Tigers over the past couple of years. In his last 3 starts against them, his earned run average is 1.27. Now, Justin Verlander is going for Detroit. And Verlander is like so many other power pitchers over the history of baseball who once their power decreases and some of those mile per hours drop off their fastball, they have to become craftier. what happens is often that transition is not made. And consequently, you have nice games and you have not so nice games. Now, he's coming off one of his, well, probably his best start of the season. 7 shutout innings against Texas on Saturday, 9 strikeouts, only 3 hits allowed in that game. But listen, this guy's earned run average on the season is still almost 5.5. And his earned run average in his last 7 starts against the Orioles is over 6. You got a Tigers team that's in a losing streak. They've lost 7 of their last 8 on the road. You got a Baltimore team that has won 5 straight games and has won 14 and 19 at home this season. So I think you got to go with the Orioles here, and they're not a bad price. I thought this line, when it opened up this morning, it was about 140, 145. I thought it would keep going up, and it would ultimately be a run line play. Instead, it's done the opposite. It has cratered and fallen down to 140, maybe about 143 at some books. Why play it on the run line? Go with the Orioles here. I just don't think Verlander is ever going to be the pitcher he once was. I don't think he's ever going to be that crafty guy who relies less on his power, which is long gone. And I think you're just going to find a guy who will have some good streaks and some good outings and then some bad ones mixed in. So I'm going to go with Baltimore as your other complimentary play along with the Nationals on the run line. And that'll do it. Wish you well, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow when we do this one more time.